Hi, welcome to the Macabre Emporium.
Let me get my emotional support cat.
Okay.
To be quiet and keep the kids quiet, since he was getting anxiety and he didn't want to kill children.
Gertrude's daughter even got to join in on what they considered fun.
Tell us about the giant turtle.
Alan never showed up, nor was he ever heard from again beyond that point. Welcome back to Macabre Emporium. This is episode 23.
And if this is your first time joining us because you're some weirdo that likes to start on the newest episode and not episode 1, welcome.
Welcome, weirdo.
So we may or may not sound a little bit different today because we took our spare bedroom, cleared it up so we can have a more dedicated space to record our episodes, and it's a much smaller room than what we were. So there might be less of an echo. We might sound better. We might sound worse. So I don't know. We won't know until it's finished and I can actually hear playback.
Yep.
But anyhow.
Yep.
So the question I asked you last week, I'm asking you again. How was your first week as a manager? Now that you've had your official first solo week.
Yeah, it's good. It's still a lot to learn since I am
sure.
doing technically 2 jobs.
Right.
But it's good. It'll take a little bit to get in my groove of doing things, but I'll get there. But it's good.
Yeah. Even though this is going to be the second episode with you now with the story, I'm sure they're already tired of hearing about me already.
Tired of hearing about you?
Not tired of hearing about me, but tired of just hearing me.
They'll
Maybe.
survive.
Yeah. So, I would normally ask, what do you have for this week? But I already know what you're going to say.
Ask me anyways.
What do you have for us this week, Sarah?
Fucking nothing.
Oh, I figure you're going to say not a goddamn thing again.
That's what I said last week.
All right.
Oh, what do you have? Sorry. What do you have this week?
So, this week, with all the severe weather we had lately, I was going to do a local story of a very rare phenomenon that's I think we're like the only place it's happened, but I wanted to hold off on it to see if I can talk to some personal, friends of mine that's father has actually that went through that event.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of on hold a moment, but I plan on doing it sometime this summer still because it's still within the time to do it. So I came up with something else because this time of year, everybody's starting to get their yards cleaned up and their flower beds prepped for, Mayflowers and all that. So I'm going to be talking about the Alnwick Poison Garden.
Okay. What's that? Where's that? What is it?
What the Poison Garden is, well, that's why we're all here.
Yeah.
So you ready to get started then?
Yeah.
We have all heard the saying, April showers bring May flowers. This proverb is actually longer. March winds and April showers bring May flowers and June bugs. A period of discomfort or hardship can provide the basis for a period of happiness and joy, is what this proverb is basically saying.
Okay.
Even through science, it shows that this is actually true, that April showers bring May flowers. Whereas this time of year, professional gardeners and homeowners are prepping to get ready for this year's landscaping and maintenance, be it your front lawn and flower beds or the 30 acres of your local golf course that you might be in charge of. But in the 42 acres of the Alnwick Gardens behind black gates adorning skulls and crossbones with the words, "These plants can kill," the level of stress I can only imagine is much higher caring for these plants.
Yeah.
The Alnwick Poison Garden more than likely was brought to everyone's attention when a meme emerged from a picture of the front gates, when either a Reddit or Tumblr user commented asking if they had a gift shop. The Poison Garden sits inside the Alnwick Garden located in Alnwick, Northumberland, England. The original garden was laid down in 1750 by the first Duke of Northumberland, Hugh Percy, and created by Lancelot Capability Brown, England's greatest gardener of the 19th century.
Okay.
The third Duke of Northumberland of the same name would add his own contributions to the garden, bringing seeds from around the world, and would actually grow pineapples in the greenhouses in the gardens. In the mid-19th century, Algernon Percy, the fourth Duke, would create Italian-style gardens which are enclosed within walls and topiaries and fountains. So, kind of like the gardens of the mansion that are in Edward Scissorhands is what I'm thinking of. Or
Probably.
in Game of Thrones or whatnot. During World War II, the gardens were converted to provide food for the Dig for Victory campaign, where the Allied governments encouraged their citizens to supplement their rations and boost morale by planting their own vegetables. And after World War II, these gardens would fall into disrepair and close in the 1950s. Jane Percy, the current Duchess of Northumberland, would revive these gardens in the 1990s after her husband Ralph George Algernon Percy, the 12th and current Duke of Northumberland, suggested that she should renovate Alnwick Garden. On her first visit, it was just rows of pine trees used to maintain Alnwick Castle and other commercial lumber businesses in the area. Mm-hmm. And the rest of it was overgrown and completely abandoned with abandoned potting sheds and greenhouses. Her husband, the Duke, thought maybe she would just plant a few rows of roses and that would be it, but her vision was to turn Alnwick Garden to be a pleasure garden for the public to come and visit. Jane Percy was somewhat surrounded by controversy for reviving the garden, as she said in an interview. In England, if you're married to a duke and do something on this scale, it's considered overly ambitious for a duchess. And the attitude is that you should just stay in your castle.
That's fucked.
Yeah. And she was like also an avid kickboxer, among other things, and so like
Jeez.
she is very Princess Diana like for the most part from a lot of the things.
Gotcha.
Looking into her backstory, she's like, I mean, she did what she had to be as a duchess, even though she's not like the royal family, but just below. Like reading about her, trying to find details for this. Yeah, it was like it reminded me of a lot how Princess Diana was, like doing the relay races at her school, at the grade schools with Prince Harry and his brother.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. After redevelopment and reopening in 2001, the Alnwick Gardens sees up to 350,000 visitors a year since its reopening, with multiple phases, which includes the world's largest treehouse, a miniature golf course with oversized insects that make you feel like you're in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah. Not to the same scale as that, but they're oversized insects for the most part.
Yeah, still, hell no.
And they also have the world's largest collection of Japanese cherry trees, with totaling at 326.
Oh, I want to go see the Japanese cherry trees.
You don't want to go see the Poison Garden?
And the Poison Garden.
Bike rumbling, but anyway.
Oh.
Jane Percy had the idea originally of an apothecary garden, but after visiting the Medici family's poison garden in Italy, she loved the idea more of gardens of plants that can kill instead of heal. This idea of a poison garden would become more reinforced after she would visit the site of the Saltra Hospital, medieval Scotland's largest ruins for a hospital.
Okay.
Here she would learn how the use of henbane, opium, and hemlock would be used to anesthetize amputees during surgery in the 15th century. In an article from the Smithsonian Magazine that I used as a reference for this, she would go on to say, "One of the things I hate in this day and age is the standardization of everything. Let's try something really different." So in 2005, the Duchess would open the Poison Garden. One of the ideas behind the Poison Garden was more of a way to bring interest in plant life to children, as how aspirin comes from bark is boring, but how plants can kill the patient, how the patient dies, and how it would feel like before you die is certainly more interesting.
It is. It's only been open since 2005.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that it's been open way longer than
That's
that.
what I thought, too, when I was first reading into this.
Huh.
Her only requirement for these plants was that they had to tell a good story. The Poison Garden of Alnwick includes over 100 species of poisonous plants. Some of these plants are phototoxic, which can cause the skin to be burned after the oils are exposed to sunlight, all the way up to the plant that creates the world's most dangerous poison, ricin.
Oh, yeah. Which plant is that?
Well, I have a list of those in a minute.
Okay.
Now, you would think a garden that is this dangerous would actually be closed to the public, but it's actually open to the public with strict rules of no touching, no smelling, and keeping a distance from these plants.
Huh. I feel like that's a huge fucking liability for that place.
Probably not. It's if they have the rules stated and they're not complying to it, and they can go over it in a safety briefing before they enter.
Well, yeah. Are they? So, do you Did you find anything stating that they have to sign a waiver before they go in?
No, I cannot find anything.
So then
about
it could
that.
still be a liability if it's not in writing and they didn't sign it.
But also, the United Kingdom's not as too happy as the United States is.
That's true.
They actually do hold tours every day during their regular business hours at 30-minute intervals during their hours of operation. And it's not an additional cost. You just go up to the gate. You just wait for the next group to go in, and that's it.
No charge to get in?
For the normal garden, yes, there is, but to go into the poison garden, there's not. It's included already.
They're like, yeah, we're not going to charge you because you may die. So, keep your money.
So some of the plants that you can actually find inside the poison garden are very common plants in the United Kingdom that people have in their own gardens, or they are also known as cottage plants in England as well.
Okay.
So here we go. I'm going to start going off these plants and some of the things that they can do to you.
Okay, go.
So Ricinus communis. Come on. Ricinus communis. I'm going to try and pronounce these scientific names. Or the castor bean plant, or also known as the hand of Christ, which is bright red in color. It can make harmless castor oil, but in a laboratory setting can produce ricin, the world's deadliest poison. Atropia belladonna is better known as deadly nightshade. 4 of these berries are actually strong enough to kill a child, and women in Italy would actually drip the juices into their eyes, causing their pupils to dilate to be more attractive to men, and also slowly going blind from this.
That just sounds like a stupid thing to do.
Well, the Victorians were fucking weird. And that's where that came from. Another plant called laurel is a common hedge plant that produces cyanide gas when it's either cut by hedge trimmers or it's chewed on by plants.
Oh.
So, like, one in the videos that are talking about, one of the head tours guides and the head gardener was explaining this. That's like when it's cut or chewed on, cyanide gas is released. This is the plant's natural defense against that, so people wouldn't realize this. So they would, like, trim their bushes and stuff them in the boot of their car or their trunk here in the United States and fucking basically poison themselves getting rid of these pieces of their plants. A common potted plant called bromexia and the worst part is I practiced all these fucking names beforehand.
You're on the spot now, that's why it's different.
Oh, I'm sure that's what it is. Bromexia or angel's trumpet, which looks like kind of like a sort of lily, but it's yellow in color and it's bell-shaped. It's a very common potted plant in the United Kingdom, and Victorian women would actually grow this in a pot on their tea table and tap, tap, tap a little bit of the pollen inside of it to loosen tongue, so to speak.
Well,
So,
loosen something.
Loosen tongues, get all the hot gossip, and but of course, probably in large quantities, it can probably kill you.
Probably. So it's like a mild truth serum.
Yes, for the most part.
Okay.
Henbane produces a pungent scent that has caused visitors to the garden to faint, and they have up to these 3 a week. That to a point.
3 faintings?
3 paintings a week when anybody usually comes in contact. Close proximity of this plant.
Just because of the smell?
That's what they believe. They haven't pinpoint what happens, but they've kind of pinpoint that after on the tour that after henbane they usually would have somebody faint, so they put a bench within close proximity of this plant, so
Gotcha.
Just to be safe about it. Giant hogweed can grow up to as tall as 8 feet and is phototoxic, which I mentioned before can cause blisters when it's in sunlight, but it also can last up to 7 years once these toxins enter your body.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I think we call it here Queen Anne's lace here in the United States, those big bunches of flowers. Yeah. It's basically in the same plant family as those.
But the Queen Anne's lace doesn't do anything to you.
I think so.
Oh.
I don't remember.
I used to
Maybe I'm wrong.
pick them all the time as a kid.
Like from seeing that in the videos and then that's what it reminded me of was the Queen Anne's lace, the white wildflowers.
Yep.
The laburnum tree, the second most poisonous tree in the United Kingdom, blooms with yellow flowers in late spring or early summer and contains a poison known as cysteine, which more than likely is going to kill you.
Well, I mean, if it's in this garden, it's gonna kill you,
Right.
or at least do some damage first.
Now, here's one that you might find a little surprising. Rhododendrons. Mm-hmm. They contain a poison called Granax toxin, which attacks your nervous system. And if bees were to make honey from rhododendrons solely, it will actually become red in color instead of the gold color that's usually associated with honey. And it will have hallucinogenic effects, but, large quantities.
Oh.
It'll kill you.
Well, yeah. Anything in too much of a quantity will kill you.
And Helleborgus niger, also known as the Christmas rose, that is white in color, but contains a cardiotoxin in its roots that's known as hellebrine. Then it will slow down and stop your heart eventually, and its sap also contains skin irritants. Even though that all these plants can kill you inside of the poison garden of Alnwick, there are some that can kill you and then also do produce medicines.
So they can do either or. They can kill you or they can help you.
Right. It's like feeling cute might kill you later.
Right.
Or is it feel cure might kill you later? Mm-hmm. But anyhow.
Feeling cure.
Instead of feeling cute?
Uh-huh. Oh my God. You're such a dork.
The yew tree, even though it is the most poisonous tree in the United Kingdom that produces the poison taxine, and that can kill you in up to 20 minutes or less, and it also produces the medication called Taxol that is used in breast cancer treatments. Meadows wheat and the willow tree can also produce salicylic acid, in nature's version of aspirin, in small doses, but in larger doses it will thin your blood and causing internal bleeding.
Well, that's what aspirin will do if you take too many aspirin.
I'm sure. But that probably takes a lot more than what the tree probably can produce.
Maybe.
But that's just my guess. Vigna major, or commonly known as periwinkle, which, it's a blue-colored flower. Mm-hmm. If you eat these, it will lower your blood pressure, causing heart arrhythmia and stop the production of white blood cells. But if you are being treated for leukemia, the flower produces the medications vinbalcetine, vignestrine, vinorelbine, and videsine.
Yep, all that.
Yeah. I got some serious mushmouth when it comes to medical names, but the guy that it was in the video, if it we were together, his like super white beard, is like, is like, that's the guy I want to be my tour guide because he looks just fucking badass. But we'll have to watch the video later so you can see it. These gardeners have to take special precautions when maintaining these plants, from anywhere from wearing long rubber gloves up to their elbows when dealing with the phototoxic plants like the giant hogsweed, all the way up to Tyvek suits, gloves, and face shields, and sometimes respirators when dealing with some of these plants.
I bet.
The Alnwick Garden has 3 plants that are considered controlled substances: opium, marijuana, and a plant called cat. It's basically an amphetamine as well. I had never heard of it until now. It's even banned in the United States. It's like, I never heard of this before. Because, meth. So it could have probably been the thing before. It's like, hey, we're going to super concentrate in a fucking laboratory.
Right. Merca.
Yeah. So the reason they have these 3 plants is to teach children in drug education on the effects that these 3 can have, because they're all 3 class 1 drugs. So the plants are there so they know what these effects can have from these 3 plants can have on your body in there. Mm-hmm. Which, probably can kill you if you consume too much, being the poison garden.
If it's in that garden, it's going to kill you.
These plants are kept under cages inside the garden, and the staff with special licensing from the Home Office, which is similar to either the Homeland Security or the Attorney General's office here in the United States. Okay. It was a toss-up in between either one, so I put both in there. They have to keep count on how many seeds they have and how many seeds that they plant and how many actually will germinate that season, along with photos of them being planted, dug up, and destroyed at the end of the season, and all that has to be filed with the Home Office once a year at the end of their season.
Yeah.
And the head gardener actually would joke at the end of one of these videos that these plants are very fascinating as they are a good way to get rid of your wife. it was
Accurate.
It's like, so like, as he's standing in front of the big black gates and it's like, so do you find these plants fascinating? He's like, yeah, they're a good way to get rid of your wife.
Wow.
I'm sure if that were to ever happen, he'd be suspect number one with
Hell
his
yeah.
knowledge.
Like, wait, let's go count all the leaves that are missing.
So, and a lot of it can be seeds because one of these came up. I forgot which planet it was. I forgot to put it in here, but it was the lady that was known as the curry killer in the United Kingdom used the seeds from one of these common plants that you can get from anywhere, from like your local garden center, and killed her fucking husband with them.
Just gonna run to Meijer real quick and
Yeah.
well, Walmart, because Meijer I don't think is a national thing.
No.
I think it's just up here. We're
So-
gonna run to the old Wally World and pick up some deadly plants
Well.
to kill your dad with.
Yeah. Even though this is a pretty short episode this time around, more so than the last one, I do have 2 little fun facts about some things. One about one of the plants that are in there, and one about Alnwick Castle itself that you'll be surprised, which you've seen this castle and you probably don't even realize it.
Okay, but what do you have?
Fun facts!
There we go. I didn't know what you were talking about till just now.
Okay. Periwinkle's blue flowers are what is referenced in an old wedding poem, or Doctor Who fans might recognize. Something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue.
Uh-huh.
In which way these flowers are referenced in there is because they would make the bride's garter out of these flowers as a way to enhance the bride's fertility, but as we know, as we've learned today,
It can kill
it
you.
can kill you if you ingest them. So, and this one was a fun one for you. Alnwick Castle was used as a filming location of both The Philosopher's Stone and The Chamber of Secrets.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Aw.
Harry and his classmates learned to fly on broomsticks out of the Outer Bailey, which is also where Harry learned to play the wizarding sport of Quidditch.
That's that castle.
Mm-hmm.
No way. Now we
Yep.
gotta go. I gotta get over my fear of flying.
Yep.
Now we gotta go. Harry Potter spot and Deadly Flowers?
Yep.
Sounds like a no-brainer.
So, I think it's kind of short this week, but
It's okay. That was cool.
Wanted to bring everybody something this week, and I just figured the Poison Garden was a great fit because it's warming up outside. And
Spring has sprung.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous outside today.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it was where you all are at too. But it was almost 70 and pure sunshine.
And I think it'll almost be 80 by the time this episode comes out.
Almost 80?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and Friday and Saturday. No. Thursday, Friday, Saturday are supposed to be right near 80. And sunshine.
And of course, they don't have that one overhead door working yet. Yeah, we'll survive for a couple days. But anyhow, I think it's time we close the Emporium up for the day, Sarah. What do you think?
I agree.
So until next time.
Remember to creep it real? That wasn't a question. Remember to creep it real.
Yeah, it sounded like Salem was questioning me there at the
He's
end.
like, the fuck? Please check out our website at macabreemporiumpodcast.com. Join our Facebook group by searching Macabre Emporium. Like and subscribe on YouTube at Macabre Emporium Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Macabre Emporium. And if you have any stories of the paranormal, your local true crime, or weird history that you would want us to look into and possibly do an episode on, email us at macabreemporiumpod@gmail.com. Remember to follow, rate, like, review, and share whenever and wherever you can and help us grow our little baby podcast.